She knows what she wants tonight. Moves fast like a neon tide. Confidence in every line. She's got style to find.
Chapter 1. Chcuk. The salty air of the beach filled Chuck's lungs as he leaned in, his heart pounding a rhythm against his ribs that echoed the crashing waves. Sarah's eyes, wide and searching, met his, and then softly, her lips found his. It was a kiss of hope, of memory, of a future yet unwritten. The world, for a fleeting moment, was perfect, bathed in the golden glow of the setting sun. Then the light intensified, not the gentle warmth of dusk, but something blinding, overwhelming flash. It wasn't the intercept uploading, but something far more profound and terrifying. A torrent of data, images, sounds, and emotions, not just from the intercept, but from every facet of his life, every memory, every flash, every secret, every burden he had ever carried surged through his mind. It was too much. The dam broke. The world spun, fractured, and then, mercifully, faded to black. For Chuck, the world simply continued. He woke the next morning in his bed, the sun streaming through the window of his apartment. Sarah was beside him, her head nestled on his shoulder, a soft smile playing on his lips. Downstairs, he could hear the familiar clatter of Ellie making breakfast and the boisterous laughter of Awesome. Later, he'd head to the Bymore, where Morgan would undoubtedly be concocting some new scheme, and Casey would be grumbling in his cage. Life, in all its messy, wonderful normalcy, was unfolding exactly as it should. He was oblivious to the hushed whispers of doctors, the sound of the monitors, and the profound sorrow etched on the faces of those who visited his still form in a hospital bed. In his mind, he was simply Chuck Bartowski, living his life, surrounded by the people he loved, completely unaware that his body lay still, his eyes open but unseeing, fixed on some distant internal horizon. The sterile scent of antiseptic clung to the air, a stark contrast to the vibrant, chaotic world Chuck had once inhabited. He lay still, almost unnaturally so. His sister, Ellie, sat by his side, her hand gently resting on his arm, her face etched with a profound sorrow that even her usual optimistic demeanor couldn't mask. Her husband, Devin, faithfully standing by her side. "He's been like this for 3 days." Ellie's voice was a soft, weary whisper, directed at Sarah and John Casey, who stood at the foot of the bed, their expressions grim. "They're saying it's a form of catatonia. His brain just shut down. Too much information, too many flashes, some kind of intercept overload syndrome." Sarah's gaze was fixed on Chuck, her own eyes glistening. The vibrant, goofy, brilliant man she had fallen in love with was now a silent, unresponsive shell. It was a nightmare she hadn't even conceived of. "Is there anything at all we can do?" she asked, her voice barely audible. Casey, ever the stoic, shifted his weight. "The government's best neurologists are on it, Walker. But this is uncharted territory. No one's ever had the intercept in their head for this long, or processed this much data. He was a good man, Bartowski. Too good for this life, maybe." Ellie choked back a sob. "He just wanted to help people. He always did, even before the intercept." Sarah reached out, her fingers brushing Chuck's unresponsive hand. She closed her eyes, the memory of their kiss on the beach, the promise of a life together, now a cruel echo. He deserved so much more. After a few more minutes of quiet, shared grief, Sarah and Casey left Ellie to her vigil, stepping out of the hushed hospital room and into the bustling corridor. The fluorescent lights hummed, a stark, clinical sound. They walked in silence for a long moment, the weight of Chuck's condition pressing down on them. Finally, as they approached the exit, Casey broke the quiet. "I don't want to see that happen to you, Walker," he said, his voice gruff, devoid of its usual sarcasm, revealing a rare vulnerability. He glanced at her, his expression serious. "You've had the intercept too. What if—" Sarah stopped, turning to face him. A faint, sad smile touched her lips. "It's different, Casey. She looked down the corridor, as if seeing something only she could. My exposure to The Intercept was limited. When I downloaded it from the glasses, it wasn't a full upload, not like Chuck's constant exposure. It was more like a temporary key, unlocking specific skills and knowledge as needed. I can flash, but it's not a constant stream, not an overwhelming torrent of information. She paused, remembering the flashes she'd experienced, the brief, intense bursts of combat prowess or linguistic understanding. Think of it like this. Chuck had a direct, unfiltered connection to the entire database, constantly processing and storing everything. My Intercept is more like a curated playlist. I can access certain songs, certain skills, but the entire library isn't pouring into my mind all at once. Casey considered her words, his brow furrowed. So, you're saying you won't end up like Bartowski? Sarah sighed, a deep, weary sound. I hope not. The doctors said Chuck's brain was trying to process everything at once, every piece of data from every flash, every memory, every emotion. It was a constant, overwhelming download without an off switch. My Intercept, it's a tool, not a part of me. It's there when I need it, but it doesn't consume me. She looked back towards Chuck's room, a profound sadness in her eyes. She turned back to Casey, her resolve hardening. We have to find a way to help him, Casey. For Chuck, and for anyone else who might ever have to carry that burden. Casey nodded slowly, a rare agreement passing between them. Agreed, Walker, for Bartowski. He then added, his voice a low rumble. And for us? The CIA and the NSA might have their differences, but this is bigger than agency lines. We're the only two who truly understand what he went through, what the Intercept can do. We're the only ones who can prevent it from happening again or find a way to reverse it. Our combined experience, our knowledge of Chuck, it's invaluable. We're a team, whether the higher-ups acknowledge it or not. Sarah offered a small, genuine smile. I know. I've gotten used to working with you too, Casey. Casey grunted, a sound that was half acknowledgement, half attempt to hide a flicker of something uncharacteristically soft in his eyes. He quickly adjusted, his gaze shifting to a distant point on the hospital wall. Don't get sentimental, Walker. It's just efficient. We work well together, that's all. Despite his gruff exterior, the unspoken understanding hung in the air between them. They had been through too much, seen too much, and shared too many impossible missions not to have formed a bond that transcended professional obligation. With a final shared glance back towards Chuck's wing of the hospital, Sarah and Casey parted ways. Sarah returned to her duties within the CIA, her assignments now carrying an even heavier weight of responsibility, knowing the potential cost of failure. Casey, ever the loyal soldier, resumed his work for the NSA, though his focus had subtly shifted. The protection of national assets now included a quiet, personal crusade, ensuring no one else suffered Chuck's fate.
Oh! Oh, oh, oh!